there. My name is Cristina Antelo. I'm the CEO of Ferox Strategies. I appreciate the invitation from Claudia to join you all today. There's not a lot of Latina-run lobby shops in Washington, and so I appreciate every time she includes me. I hope you all enjoyed your lunch. We are happy that you are joining us now for a conversation with various consuls from Latin American countries, including Chile, Mexico, and El Salvador, in order to help talk about their experiences with their communities as US Hispanics, and also about the opportunities to collaborate between the countries and the Hispanic community here in the United States. So with that, I know I'm not supposed to introduce you or spend too much time with that. We've got your bios up here. But in our conversations in preparation for today, I was actually kind of blown away by some of the stories that they were able to tell on not just statistics and the numbers, but kind of the growth that their communities have seen in this region. I'm from Texas, I live in DC, I have family in Florida, I've lived in California. All of those places I expect Latinos. But when I think of the Midwest, I didn't think about it so much. So again, when I heard some of these statistics and some of the growth, it is really interesting, and it is significant about our community. So maybe I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Ambassador, if you could start first and talk to us a little bit about the Mexican community.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the hosts and sponsors, the organizers of this very important, very relevant conference. And thank you very much to everyone here for this opportunity to share our experiences. What we have at the Mexican Consulate in St. Paul, Minnesota is a very young history. We set shop in the year 2005 with my good friend, Consul Nathan Wolf, and had the opportunity to have wonderful head consuls like Nanette, Ana Luisa Fajer, and of course Alberto Fierro. And what we see is the growth of the Mexican community has been very visible. Right now we have more than 300,000 people born in Mexico or of Mexican origin living in the area that we serve, that is Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, and the western counties of Wisconsin. And our consulate is a consulate devoted to closeness to people and devoted to services. Over a span of 5 years, I ran the numbers, and most 70 to 75% of all Mexican families and individuals living in the area have received some service, at least one service from the consulate. So that is a benchmark of closeness, because as we say in Mexico, mi casa es su casa, but for this means that the consulate is truly the house of the home of all Mexicans. And we are thrilled to see that last week we gave the warmest welcome to Minnesota, to the newest Consulate General in Minnesota, in St. Paul, the Consulate General of our sister Republic of El Salvador. I really salute the initiative of the government of El Salvador to set shop in Minnesota. And please join me. Let's put our hands together for this initiative. Thank you.
So maybe that's a good segue for you to go and talk to us a little bit about El Salvador as well.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody here. Thank you for the invitation. As Ambassador Sierra just said, El Salvador, we just opened the doors for our newest consulate last Friday. I want to apologize on behalf of my colleague, Consul Cruz, who wasn't able to come because, as you know, the first days of a new consular office, well, I'm sure that she's acting right now with a lot of work, with a lot of Salvadorians in the area. We've seen how Salvadorian community has increased during the past years. Now, we are the third Hispanic community in Minnesota area, just behind Mexico and Puerto Rico. So for our country, for our president, Bukele, it is a huge thing to be close to our community. We've heard so many stories of people trying to go to Chicago. They had to drive more than 8 hours because of traffic. The location for Consulate right now, we're moving in Chicago, was in downtown. So it was a nightmare for people to go. Just last year, we made 6 mobile consulates in Minneapolis, thanks to the help of Copal and a lot of organizations here. That was a record on the amount of times that as El Salvador Consulate, we came to this state. Last Friday, it was also the first time in history that an authority from our Ministry of Foreign Affairs or Vice Minister of Diaspora and Human Mobility was in Minnesota. She was the one that made the inauguration. She went to a couple of Salvadorian restaurants. We know, I've been here several times. If you haven't tried pupusas, I'm sure you should. And our community increases by the day. We've seen people coming from East and West Coast to make Minnesota home. I just hope that after the first winter, they decide to stay. As someone before said, we're a warm country in Central America. If these people are coming from the coast, I'm sure it's gonna be difficult, but resilience is one of the best things that describe a Salvadorian. So I'm sure that we'll be here for a long time and we'll continue to grow. And who knows, probably in a couple of years, we'll be the second, because the gap with Mexico is great, but Puerto Rico is really low. Thank you.
And can you tell us a little bit about Chile as well?
Sure. Bueno, my name is Teresa Palacios, Olson, and I've been the consul for Chile and Minnesota almost for 8 years. The community of the Chilean probably is not as large as our 2 other consuls here. I think the last census that Chile it did, it was in 2017, and it shows that in Minnesota, I think the number of Chileans are around 1,000 people. So it's probably been growing. I see that every time, every week when I have appointments for people that also, like our neighbors here, have, people need to do some, documentation, stuff like that. Don't need to go to Chicago. So around 1,000 people, and people that are coming from Chile for work or a new, new experience, new opportunities. And I feel like in Minnesota, they are feeling very welcome, and they love to be here. So many of them have been inserted in different areas and different fields, even in 3Ms, like the place we are right now. It's a large number of Chilean working and professionals. So it is great to have that presence in big corporations that could help, like we are looking to try to get people involved in our communities to help the rest of the Latin American that are working very hard here in Minnesota. We know how hard the weather is, so make it more hard sometime in the winter with all the things that could struggle or not, or be hard for start a new company or new jobs and stuff like that. Sometimes it's hard to them to know what to do, where to go, how the resources are, where they are, and help and guide for their projects. So, like I said, the Chilean community is really small, but then it's growing. There are other presence and other big companies in Minnesota right now, and they are coming. There are people interested in grow and have family and be in a place where it's very diverse. I think we all know that it's a big change in Minnesota since the 70s or 80s to now. And that is attractive. That is attractive for people like the Chileans that are so far away at the end of the world, down south. But it's something that has been calling to them as well. So, yeah, I'm here to be part of this conversation. So very grateful, and thank you for the We Are All Humans for inviting me as well. Thank you.
So Teresa just talked a little bit about some of the challenges that some of her community face. And I'm wondering, Mr. Ambassador, you talked a little bit about opportunities as well. And I'm curious to see if, from the folks that you are representing and that you have the conversations with back at the consulate, what are the challenges that they're facing on a regular basis here, and what are the opportunities that they're looking for?
The immigrant community faces a lot of challenges, but over the years has proven once and again that it is an endless source of strengths and creativity. And the right way to enhance this creativity for us from the government is to promote leadership initiatives, to do outreach and work with young people. I see so many young faces here that I wanted to share with the conference a short video that I shared with the organizers. I don't know, I thought that it would be projected. It's a video that has the narrative, a very short narrative of a program that we launched 3 years ago for the first time. As government, we tend to focus on the immediate challenges, but what lies ahead of the curve is more relevant for the future. And what is ahead of the curve is young people proving their commitment to a better future. So how we enhance in the United States and in the home countries this commitment through community service and volunteering, because every program of volunteering is a program of leadership. It encourages emerging leadership. So in 2019, we put in place the first cultural immersion and volunteering program. We drafted the program in order to address young people that have just graduated from college, and the response we had was incredible. I mean, the first program focused in California. I launched the program in Santa Ana in Orange County, May 1st. We had 4 weeks in order to get the applications because it was a summer program. And of course, the challenges were many. People already had summer courses, summer jobs, internships. To see so many young people abandoning internships, postponing jobs in order to go to Mexico, to the homeland of the family, in order to work with the community. And what we had is that in 4 short weeks, I expected to have like 100 applicants. We had 300. You know that the University of California has 10 campuses. We had applications from 9 campuses, not having spent 1 cent in promotion. And of the system of the California State University, they have 23 campuses. We had 22 campuses submitting applications. When I got Celia Aro from Humboldt State on the border with Oregon, I thought, how we had Harvard, we had Stanford, we had El Camino Community College, Cerrito Community College. We had people that are first generation going to college, and they came to Mexico. And the University of California, that was a partner, they told us, okay, you already had the group. They will come to Mexico, but of course, even from the airport, many will go back home because that just is life, that happens. Okay, we had 147 people accepted, and my list in Mexico City has 147 signatures. So a 100% commitment by young people. And I am very happy to share this information here at 3M, because the very first meeting we had for young people coming in order to do volunteering in Mexico was with the American Chamber of Commerce in Mexico City, AmCham, in order for them to explain, to learn, to open a two-way channel of communication? What can corporate world do with young people in order to enhance this vision of growing together? Because you see that we have many Mexicans here. Mexican born population is 11 million people in the United States. But if you have if you have outreach to the children and grandchildren, you have 30 million people. That is the way to go in order to have better citizens here and better citizens at the home country. That is why I wanted to share. If right now, for any reason, it is not possible to project the video, I hope that at the Facebook page of this conference, you can click on that video, and it is very, very short, and the video was made by the participants, not by the government. So it is very, spontaneous. Thank you very much.
Federico, I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about the same question, kind of the obstacles that are faced as well as the opportunities that are sought.
Thank you. Thank you, Cristina. Yes, well, the first and main obstacle for people was obviously get their documents and having to have all the support being given from the city of Chicago, which is around 600 miles away. That's why our president or vice minister, we worked hard for the past 18 months. Setting up a new consulate is not an easy task, but with President Bukele, we had to run. Even through the pandemic, we got everything. Now our community will be able to get their documents here on site. Also, a lot of people, a lot of Salvadoran entrepreneurs that have here a lot of restaurants, have companies of cleaning, have several things that we've seen. We were working with them, trying to support and getting the connections from El Salvador. Now, our new office will be able to help them, will be able to provide them the correct assistance. That sometimes being also there gives them a lot of motivation. Having the consulate by their side, which is what our president wants us to do, will do a lot of difference. We've tried and we've worked, at least in Chicago right now, for programs as English as second language, because we know that it's another huge barrier, because a lot of people from El Salvador, they come here, and as the day passes, the community grows larger, they decide that English is not as important as it is. Sometimes knowing English opens a lot of doors that they might not be seeing, because they come, they get a job with a Salvadorian company, or they get a job within the Hispanic market, but they're not able to grow because they don't know English. It comes to a point where you have to know English in order to get to the next level. I am sure that with this new consulate, it was our 25th consulate in the US, and our mission is not only to give the documents, it's not only to issue passports, it's not only to issue the ID. Now we support them all along the way. If someone wants to bring Salvadorian nostalgic products, if someone wants to sell stuff back to El Salvador, if someone wants to promote a lot of tourism, sometimes, and we see in the Midwest, like last year, a lot of tourism from the Minnesota area increased in going to El Salvador. Why? Because in winter, the temperatures here, there is a lot of people that's working remotely thanks to the pandemic. Well, the world's not the same after the pandemic. A lot of companies now, they have 100% remote work. Before, everybody had to drive all the way to the office. And even though there's barely traffic here in Minneapolis and St. Paul area, I'm sure that everybody prefers to stay at home and work remotely. But we're working hard with our community. I am sure that this huge step of having a consulate here will be a lot of difference for our community through the entire Minnesota, and most likely our community will increase by having a consulate here. So a lot of people won't have to travel to Chicago. It was the only city that covers the entire Midwest for El Salvador.
I was wondering, one of the pillars of the conference is about unity within the Latino community, and I'm curious to see kind of what is it that you all collaborate on together to represent all of your communities cohesively.
Yeah, I think it does, it's a good point. Somehow we are a little group, especially for, I'm talking about Chile, the community is not our largest, our Mexican friends. And it would be great to get a more communication between now those other consuls, because sometimes people has been struggling or looking for same things that the other, communities are doing and are working hard, and sometimes getting the information from firsthand or someone is more expert in certain areas can help not just only the Salvador, but maybe Ecuadorians or Colombians or Venezuelan. The Hispanic community in Minnesota is growing. I can see from either southwest area of Twin Cities, where there are many Venezuelans and Colombian in Salvador. They are very hard workers, and sometimes they don't get the information. They are so hard workers that don't have time for find information or make an appointment in another office or talk to someone that could help with their ideas of a business or growing. And sometimes they just end up being an idea and not, have that project a reality because they don't have the support. And it's isolated somehow in an area that is not that large that it could be connected. So I can see that if we can work together as a consuls in Minnesota to get that information more close to, more easily accessible for people, that they can find education, they can find some tools to learn about some business that they can do. Future entrepreneurs that want to do some restaurants or install a new, farm or even industry. Food industry is growing, and not just only restaurants, but it's the workforce in Minnesota is a lot of Mexican. I can see where I'm working right now. I have a full-time job as well, so I can see how they are doing a lot for this community, for this state. So it will be very important for our role to get to help this whole Latin American people in the state. So I think the struggles are those that sometimes people cannot get the information that they need because it's in different areas. We have the Department of Work or Employment. We have some other organizations in Minneapolis or in St. Paul, and they doesn't think about going to the consulate sometime for that. So unify information, unify all the resources could help all the Latin American people in Minnesota to get their projects probably more a reality.
Mr. Ambassador?
I think that what Consul Palacios Olson has just said is very relevant, that there is a huge potential for the consular offices in Minnesota to do things together to benefit the community. We have the Minnesota Consular Corps as a very important forum in order to collaborate. But maybe today we can see this specific meeting as day one of a new era of collaboration, because we are fortunate enough that between Mexico and Chile, we have the Alianza del Pacífico network that specifically has a branch working in joint initiatives abroad. We set together embassies and consular offices abroad, and with our sister republic of El Salvador. Mexico has the TRICAMEX mechanism of collaboration in order to offer to the immigrant community legal services, timely advice, preventive services, and of course to open new pathways to education and to healthcare. So let's make today day one of this new collaboration.
I know we're almost at time, but we started a couple minutes late, but my only job as moderator is to keep us going. So one final question, and maybe just a couple of minutes from each of you, but how do you think corporations here in the area can be helpful to you and your efforts?
For us, to promote our community to go to college, to get a degree. I know that during the morning someone said about scholarships. People in the Latin America area, they are really resilient. They are really dedicated. Sometimes they work as hard. I've heard about people that they work 20 hours a day. They just sleep for 4 hours. Then they work over again for 20 hours in order to get their kids to grow older. Now, this era, these people are also working. But I'm sure that if these corporations can provide them a motivation to go to college, to get a degree, to learn English, to include a career pathway, which is also really amazing. I've seen a lot of companies in Chicago and in Los Angeles. I was posted in Los Angeles. So these people that see that, okay, I started here, they started from bottom. It's usually how a lot of people has to start. No Hispanic that comes to the US has the benefit of starting probably in the sky. They start, they work really hard, they start climbing the ladder, and if these companies have these career pathways, they are really motivated, and as soon as their times are coming, they study, they prepare, they work, they learn, and I'm sure that with these options, our community of Salvadorians, Mexicans, and in the area, as Rodolfo was telling earlier before, are probably the last ones that get a degree. I'm sure they will start to getting a degree. I'm sure that most of the people, the ones that are younger than 40, I'm sure that in Minnesota, a lot of people and a lot of things can change for training. You're investing in your own people. You're not spending. You're training them. And the loyalty, as also it was mentioned a couple hours before, we, the Hispanic, if we receive stick to it, put it into practice, and make the company as it was our own, and work as hard as we can to produce as much money as we can. The best company that's in the world for us.
For me, are working already and be close to the Hispanic or Latin American community. I think it's just get again the word. We can get involved. We can pass that information to our communities. Projects. I think like in 3M, the month of Hispanic month or celebration are happening, but sometimes we don't know about it. And I think that it would be the things to request probably is if something we can ask is just get the word a little bit more out of the get it to maybe in this case to the Consular Corps or this Latin American Consuls. Well, thank you also for, it's a pleasure, and I hope Chileans love to, and I think it's hard for people to go that far, but as well. So thank you, everybody, and hope to talk to all of you.
Mr. Ambassador, you want to close us out?
I think that everything that Mr. Federico has said is very, very relevant, and what Consul Palacios Olson has said. I just want to share with you that I have been working unit of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for 18 years, and at the Consulate in Sacramento in the year 2005. I remember that US Bank early movers in order to reinvest in the community, and with other companies, with the Mayo Clinic, with the Ecolab, Cargill, is that Target, of course, is that Minnesota investing in the community. So what we can offer at the Consulate of Mexico, and I think is that thanks to the closeness to the community, our programs are demand-driven. So you achieve when you have ownership in the community, when the program is demand-driven. And as we see, sometimes the sky is truly the limit for the collaboration. Back in the year 2008, when we were struggling to finance our scholarships, as Consul Guerrero has said, now times are changing. And they want to achieve that. We wanted to do fundraising, but we had preciously experiencing that. So I convened a conference for corporate America in the United States, coming to Mexico only for 2 days. It was 14 years ago. And I remember that my goal was to raise $100,000 US for scholarships. At the very first sessions, as I just mentioned, that I had this goal, a smallish company from Texas raised the hand. You already have the check here. So that means to the demand of the community, all the resources, they can have an impact not only in the families, but of the state of Minnesota and the United States at large.
Thank you, sir. Well, thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate the perspective.